Hello and good day, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to today's show. We have a really great show in store for you today. Today, we're going to talk about how to build a culture of continuous development with operational coaching. So, thank you so much for everybody for joining us today. Now, my name is Lory Quackenbush, and I'm with APMG International, coming to you from New York. And I'm absolutely delighted to be your host today. Now, this is a series. We're running a couple of these events. So, please stay tuned. This is a really great topic. We're going to be getting into STAR and how it can really make a big difference when it comes to coaching and leadership. So thank you so much. Thanks to our audience. Lots and lots of folks in attendance today. This has been a very, very popular series. We're happy to see it. Now we have Shanice and Ella are over in our socials. So, go ahead, get involved in the chat, put your questions in the panel, and then we're going to answer the questions live during the show. So I feel like with all that's going on in the world today, at the moment, it seems like now is a really good opportunity to kind of get into discussing culture and how you and your organization really thrive amidst all the crazy chaos. So thanks for joining us today. Now we have a very experienced panel, so I'm going to jump right in and let you guys meet them. So, ladies first, we have the lovely Barbara Trotter. She is the business owner and leader of Star Coach Leadership. She's spent over 2 decades fostering genuine connections, stakeholder needs, cultivating collaborative environments. She's a key leader at Star Coach Leadership. She specializes in leadership coaching, business relationship management, customer service, business management, and sales. Her expertise lies in guiding professionals to elevate their leadership skills, enhance dynamics, drive meaningful results, and she's very passionate about empowering others through coaching, consulting, training, and education. And we're happy to have her to share her experience. So, hi, how are you, Barbara? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Lori, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We love your energy and enthusiasm. So you're a gem to have here. Now,
Thanks.
next, we're going to say hello to Mart Rovers, the infamous Mart Rovers. He's leadership coach, consultant, and trainer. And he's, has a ton of experience educating and coaching leaders, professionals, and he's very passionate about what he's been doing for over 3 decades. Now, he works for STAR, which is, coach leadership, consulting, training, and education firm. And just some examples of some of the areas he's specialized in is leadership, obviously coaching, business relationship management, service management, IT security management, project and change management. So he's got a lot of experience in a lot of things. So he's looking forward to sharing some of his experience and thoughts and answering some questions today. So hi, Mark.
Hey, Lory, how are you? Good to see you again. Good to see everybody.
Absolutely.
Appreciate to be here. Yeah. Hey, I
So
have a quote.
I was
You
just
got
going
it
to
going.
say, usually you
I
give us a
know, I
good
know. No, I
quote. Give
got
us
it.
a
I
good
got it.
quote
I was
today, Mark.
prepared. I was prepared. So I'm starting with one. I'll finish with one. So
Okay.
Brian Tracy once talked about continuous learning, and he said, continuous learning is the minimum requirement for success in any field. Minimum requirement.
I love that. That's a good one. You always come
Good
up with
one.
some of the good quotes. That's great. That's good stuff.
Wasn't
So
me. It was Brian Tracy.
yeah, the first question, which I always make sure I start out with, just so people, the folks on the audience understand. So, can you just explain, Mark, if you don't mind, what is
Yeah.
STAR? What does it mean?
STAR is an acronym. STAR is the acronym for Stop, Think, Ask, and Results. It was developed by Notion, a company in the UK. It's been around for almost 2 decades, and it's a model, STAR model, and it's been applied in many different scenarios. And we'll touch upon it later in the show. But Notion also used it for operational coaching in the moment where you stop yourself, as in, is this question, is this situation, this problem, this opportunity a coachable moment? And so stop your typical habit of answering questions or jumping to conclusions or having solutions for everything, being the fixer. So stop that behavior. Think, is this a coachable moment? And in case it is, ask, the A is for ask, a powerful question, one that makes you think, an open question, and one that actually activates another part of your brain where people think deeper, learn better, learn from their own thinking, so to speak. Agree on what is the best approach, what will be the best answer, and then the R's for results. Check in, as in, we agreed on doing this activity. Did it work? Do we need to change something? So it's this loop almost of, stop, think, ask, and results that changes behaviors, changes culture. And that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, I love it. And I gotta say, learning more and more about the STAR, certification, it's really phenomenal. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to name drop, but we have, folks like NBC Universal taking it on, and it is just game changing. And again, I know I already touched on it, but especially now with just chaos that we're all dealing with, I think now more than ever is a time for organizations to really dig deep and to really get into, looking at their culture, retaining your employees. So I know we're going to get into it, and I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but just good stuff here. And we really think this is going to be a huge, just game changer, for everybody. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into some live questions, shall we? We have a ton of people in the audience. And so thank you again to all the people that registered. This has been very, very popular series. And we'll get into just asking some of your questions. Don't forget, put them in the chats, and we'll try to get to as many live questions as we can on the show today. So the very first question is, what defines a true coaching culture? And this comes from Hillary. Who would like to tackle this one first? Mark, go right.
I'll get it. I'll take it. It's a great question. Give the answer up front. It's a true coaching culture is one where curiosity is the norm, not the exception. In other words, curiosity is always there. So people are expected and encouraged to reflect, share, grow together. It's the norm, basically, and it's not about these formal coaching sessions that'll get you there. It's about these everyday interactions where you continuously encourage each other and reflect and grow by challenging each other, by asking the open questions, the ones that make you think, the powerful questions that they call it. So a quick one, where it actually helped. There was a tech firm I was helping once, and they used STAR during daily stand-ups. So they, for example, asked questions like, what's the results we're working toward? Basically, to keep everybody focused. Or what's stopping us right now? Again, we may think about it, but that constant reminder, that constant curiosity as far as, hey, let's not forget about that. It shifted, and it turned the room from task checkers into a room of thinkers.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so powerful, isn't it? Like, just like you said, kind of changing the dynamic of using questions and having people get engaged. Love it. Barbara, did you want to add to this?
Yes, I definitely do. To piggyback kind of off of what Mart was saying, and to honestly add to that, the coaching culture is all about trust. That's the biggest thing, honestly.
Right.
At one university that I supported, right, one of the department chairs told me, my team doesn't feel safe about giving feedback. And we've all heard that before.
Oh, I mean, sure.
I've said it before, right? And coaching, this type of coaching helped her shift from being the authority to becoming the facilitator. And that's powerful. Within a semester, the peer mentoring tripled.
Wow.
So it was, so that's what a coaching culture makes possible.
Right.
Honestly.
Just like such game changing things, right? Just amazing.
Yeah.
And again, it affects the bottom line, which is, really, really important too. So, good question. Thank you so much, Hillary. Let's get to the next one. We'll just kind of roll through as many of these as we can today, folks. So the next question is from Brian. Brian asks, how can organizations transform leadership from directive to collaborative? This is a great question, Brian. Thanks for asking. Who would like to tackle this?
Me.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Me. I am very, very passionate about stuff like this, especially when it comes to the directive and collaboration. It starts with redefining power. And too often leadership is always mistaken for having all of the answers.
Right.
And in a STAR culture, the power lies in asking the right questions. Right? It's not knowing all the answers, but asking the right questions.
Right.
And, I worked with a hospital where a nursing lead went from giving orders to asking what would make this doable today. And the single change on reduced stress and double team input. So again, asking those questions, the trust, I know I'm repeating, but these are so important.
Right. Absolutely. So powerful. Just completely, just changing the whole dynamic. And folks, just so you know, we are going to be posting, as we go along today, we're going to be posting QR codes here so you guys can scan them for blogs. We'll be posting one for a consultation towards the end of the show as well. Mark, did you want to add anything to this?
Just quickly, that STAR is like a mind frame. It's kind of a framework. If you have it constantly in your head, especially that think, as far as, is this that coachable moment? Is this where I can ask a few powerful questions? It becomes a habit eventually, but it's a change of habits initially, and then afterwards you don't even recognize that's what you're doing. It becomes the normal way for you to act in essence.
Yeah, I agree. I will say, having read the book and learning a lot more about STAR through you folks and everything now, I'm telling you, it just changes the way you think, and you just kind of happens automatically now. You're asking questions with the questions. I do think my husband's been doing this to me for a long, long time. I think he read the book before it was even developed, perhaps. I'm not sure. I just think it's so powerful. Like you said, just, instead of everybody just directing you, telling you what to do, be collaborative, right? All right, we're going to keep going, folks. We can get into some more of these questions here. We've got a lot of them coming in. This is from Sophia. Sophia asks, why do 79% of employees quit due to lack of appreciation? That's a crazy number. That's a good stat. Mark, you want to take this?
It's huge. Yeah, I'll take it. It's a big number. It's also very worrisome if you think about it. Because managers have a tendency to confuse appreciation with approval. When you say it's a good good job, but you don't ask how did we get there, you miss a whole opportunity in essence.
Right.
As in, so what is the path, right? So STAR is creating that space, put people in the spotlight of, and make them think, not in a forced way, in a challenging way. The curiosity again. So, quick example. One of the nonprofits that I was coaching, two resignations within a quarter of key players, star players. Well, no pun intended. But after introducing STAR, the team lead started asking for input weekly. In other words, what can we do differently? What would be the best way forward? What worked? Those types of questions. Turnover, it stops in an instant, literally.
Wow.
Simple.
You can see that, right? People don't feel appreciated.
Right.
Yeah. So, Barbara, did you want to add to this?
Yes. Appreciation doesn't require a trophy. A lot of times people think that it's something that you have to give, right? And it requires presence. Presence is, truthfully, is priceless and it's free. And a lot of people forget that. One dean that I worked with told a staff member, I noticed how you supported that student today. And that simple ask, what guided your approach, became the most affirming moment in that employee's year, because the fact that they were seen and that person gave them presence, right? It wasn't a gift card. It wasn't something, granted, those are great too, right? But at the same time, presence is in being and seeing your person and asking them, right? Those are priceless and they're free.
So powerful, like you said, to be seen. Isn't that something we all want, right? To be seen and heard. Great question. Thanks, Sophia, for the great question. All right, we're going to roll right along here and try to get to as many of these as possible. So the next one's from Jeremy. What are the key characteristics of a coaching environment? Another good one. Lots of good questions, guys. Thanks.
So I would love to take this one. Great coaching environment. So great coaching environments, honestly, I would have to say having trust, psychological safety, curiosity, and accountability without shame. I think those are the top 4, truthfully. One corporate team that I coach said, we ask more than we assume. And I don't know, again, I don't know about anybody else. I know I've assumed, I know a lot of people have assumed, but now that behavior has been lifted and their engagement scores have, gone up by 18% in 3 months.
Right.
Just because they changed that environment. So.
Yeah, it makes so much sense, especially with the accountability piece, right?
Yes.
People just sometimes will get so scared because they just feel like, oh my God, if I don't, check all the boxes and get it all done the right way, it's, going to come back to me. But what a different way to change things around. Did you want to add anything to the SMART, or should we move along?
Stop that fixing mindset. Start listening and start asking questions. That's all I can add to it.
Right.
The fixing thing that needs to be from the past. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all deal with that too. You deal with managers that just want to fix it, and why not just turn it around and give you the power back, right, to do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Give
And people will they'll feel the difference.
Yeah.
Like they'll understand and see exactly what you're doing.
Yep. I'm telling you, we should get some of these stuff on t-shirts, I swear.
Yes. People feel the difference. I love that one.
Right? Feel the difference. I love that. All right, next question. We're going to roll right through these guys. Okay, this is from Amanda. Amanda asks, how does operational coaching create sustainable organizational change, especially right now, right? Who wants to tackle this one?
I'll take it. It's referred to as operational coaching. Let's zoom into that word operational, literally meaning this can happen any moment during the day. And during the day, there's so many opportunities for us to stop that behavior of fixing and think, is this something that, that is coachable? Is it a coachable moment? Can I ask a powerful question? It fits into a normal conversation. It's not this, what you often see, the sit down coaching sessions, as in, now we need to coach. Oh, okay. Well, a minute ago, you were my boss telling me what to do, and now you're my coach. It's as in awkward. So not so much with operational coaching. It's a change of behavior and change of habit, as in, let me ask that powerful question. It's that willingness to stop doing and start facilitating, in a few words. So client once told me, I know I don't need other training. I just need something that I could use in the hallway. And that's where STAR comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
And isn't you think about somebody having to have a sit down, coaching session with their management. It can be daunting,
I hate that.
right? It can be super daunting. You kind of, your nerves get a little anxiety, right?
Imagine the pressure.
Right, the pressure. So if you can change that to maybe you're, by the water cooler or having a cup of coffee or down the hallway, and you can turn it into, hey, asking the right questions, like you said, kind of stop, take a minute, take a deep breath, think about things, and just kind of turn it into like almost like a machine, right? Like a never flowing, constantly changing, living, breathing creature, right? To make it, sustainable that way. So that's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Did you want to add anything?
I do. So, a lot of frameworks, dare I say, they fade. Like, and Mart was talking about, you need the willingness to stop doing and start facilitating. And this definitely, this is scalable, right? This is scalable on so many different levels, and it can help districts. It can help, just agencies. There's so many different things that it can help with, but it's scalable. And, I helped a district leader teach STAR to 11 principals, right? And by the end of the year, it was absolutely amazing. They saw increased student engagement, improved faculty retention, and cleaner decision making, honestly, because it wasn't all up to the principals anymore. The principals were asking the questions, right? And it was interesting because it started out with the principals. However, it then went to the teachers. It then went to, the kids. Like, This is something that even kids can do. Like, this is something that's so scalable. It's you take one person and you shine on the other, and they learn it, and then it just continues to keep going.
Right. You know what I love about this? Again, as I'm learning more and more of this from you guys, and after having read the book's wonderful, is just, this isn't, we're talking about it from a sense of, in business organization, but this is something that, some people can live and breathe in their every single day, that it works with relationships with people with kids, right? So this is really, you can take this certification that you can use for business purposes, but also really, kind of change the game for everyday life, right? We do have a comment on the screen. The answer is a question. This is a great book, folks. I really highly
That's the book.
This book.
Yeah, that's since you mentioned a couple of times, I thought I'd just hold it up. That's the book you were referring to. Yeah, the answer is a question. Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Yeah. So listen, we have a question here, a comment. We're just going to, since we are live, jump into the comment. So this is, I think he mentioned that he's a bit skeptical about some coaching programs. He's trying not to be, since we're, again, love the comments. Anybody want to, Mart or Barbara, did you want to kind of talk to that? People that are skeptical? Because there's a lot of different coaching programs out there, right?
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce of this one? What makes it different? We're going to go rogue for a minute, guys. What makes this so different? Thanks for the comment.
Barbie, you want to take this?
So there's a lot of things that are different. I mean, I will say it's one of those things. It's so simplistic. It's a way of changing your actual culture, right? With a lot of coaching programs, they tell you what to do, and it's very like regimented. This is not. This is, I don't want to say flowy, but this is, you start and then you practice. You start and then you practice. And it's one of those things that it just keeps moving with you, right? And I guess that's where I'm talking about flow, where it just continues to move with you. And like you said, Lory, it's not just something that you can use in your business or, within your organization. This is stuff that you can use and live and breathe. This is a culture change, not just for your organization, but for yourself.
Right. Right. So just kind of checking boxes, like I feel like a lot of the other leadership type, certifications and things are just like, here, institute, check these boxes, go through these, forms. I mean,
right.
That's not coaching. That's not coaching on the fly. That's not doing anything for your business. Whereas this is, again, changing your your philosophy internally. So you are behaving in a different way, and you're teaching and talking to your colleagues and your employees in a different way to make them more engaged, less feeling heard and seen, less wanting to just bounce, which is very costly, right, to obtain and retain employees. And again, this is just kind of changing the way you're doing things, so it's a completely different ball game, different animal than some of the others. Mark, I know you wanted to add to this.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine the following, right? You are this traditional leader that is perceived as having all the answers because you're so experienced, you know it all, you hear a lot, you see a lot. So you're being perceived as the fixer, as the one that knows everything. And then this person goes along with 10 other leaders on a whatever coaching program, and they come back and they basically say, well, that's what I'll do 7 hours during the day, but the other hour, I'm a coach, and I'm not supposed to give any answers, and because I need to ask questions, because that's what coaches do, right? They make you think. Very awkward, very uncomfortable. I'm very skeptical about that too. As in, it's like two-faced almost. Who am I talking to now? Are you, are you the one that I was used to, or now somebody else? With Star, it becomes the norm. It becomes a normal way of communicating, as in nobody will feel awkward. And these sit-down sessions make it even worse, right? As in, now you're my coach. Now I need to open up to you and share all my secrets. I couldn't do it an hour ago because then you were my leader then. And I felt fearful enough to be vulnerable, and who knows what you were going to use against me. I mean,
Yeah.
it does not work. It's
Right.
so awkward. It's so weird. I'm very skeptical about that too. Yeah. But Star,
Yeah.
it's just normal. It's
Such a good
something that,
point. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it goes back to what Barbara mentioned earlier about trust, right? It
Right.
comes back to the trust part. You want to be able to
Yep.
feel
Yeah.
like you can trust. I mean, that's
Yeah.
probably a feel good for, management, feel good for the employee to feel like they actually can trust you and talk to you on the regular. And you don't, like you said, change
Yeah.
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from one moment to the other because, oh, now you're going to wear your coaching hat, right? Just completely
Yes.
changes the
Yeah.
game. So thank you so much for the comment. I know we kind of got into
Yeah.
that
Very
there,
good.
but that's the beauty of putting up comments things. So keep them coming, folks. All right, we're going to go to our next question now. So the next question is from Janine, and Janine says, "What benefits emerge when everyone becomes a coach?" Well, this is an interesting question.
Hmm.
Everyone becomes a coach. What do you think? Who wants to take
This one, so it's not a title, right? It's a shared practice. People have to step up. The hierarchy flattens. You'll hear more, how can I help? And fewer, that's not my job.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where they want to take the initiative. They want to take the accountability. They feel empowered. That's one of the bigger things. One department at a medical center, again, different places, at a medical center adopted peer coaching with Star and saw, conflict resolution rates improved by honestly 60%.
Wow.
That floored me.
Big number.
Yeah.
Right. So not because there were fewer problems, but because they were, again, more empowered people. They knew what to ask. They knew how to handle it more. It goes back to that cultural change, that way of thinking. And so it again started at one, two, three, 4, 5 people and just kept going.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
I can remember being in in New York City with the folks from Embassy Universal. They put thousands and thousands of employees through this program, and they were just talking about how everybody felt like they were less scared about just talking, you know, giving their feelings and giving their thoughts to everybody, and that the whole dynamic across the board was better because everybody felt like they were part of one mission. And I think that's huge, right? It changes, like, it gets rid of some of that animosity and people don't know what you're doing. And, it's just it was so powerful to see so many people in such a big organization just, really, grab a hold of this and chew on it and how much it benefited, a very big company. So, Mark, did you want to touch
Yeah,
on
just
this?
to build on Barbara's example of that medical center. Typically in medical centers, when you talk about something being contagious, that's not a good thing. But in this case, it is a good thing. It's when one person starts asking these great questions, and then it starts to spread. That's what you want to see, and that actually happens. It's not, and again, it's not forced. If I would phrase that in one sentence that I use quite often, is that a culture shifts from reaction to reflection.
Reaction to reflection. I like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And isn't that kind of like, it's like a feel good, right? Because I think
it
we're
is.
all, no matter, we're all dealing with so much, just absolute uncertainty and chaos right now.
Hmm.
Isn't it?
Right.
I think now's the time if for people to, if they're
Yes.
interested in
It's
getting, learning more about this and,
taking that step back.
taking this to
Yeah,
the next
Yes.
level. Now
yeah,
is the time with all the absolute chaos that everybody's dealing with and uncertainty.
right.
Ever a
Yes.
time to change the game with your organization's culture, now is the time to dig deep because
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
is just
yeah.
struggling.
Reflect.
Yeah.
So impactful. Now's a good time for us to be talking about this, folks. So
Yep.
thank you so much, Janine, for the great question. We're just going to keep plugging along to the next one and keep the live questions coming in, folks. We'll try to get to as many as we can today. So this question is from Sean. Sean says, how can leaders develop more meaningful interactions? This is a good one too. Lots of good questions. Mark?
Like be curious. That's how Lord. That's where it starts, right? Be sincerely interested in where does this come from, right? Where you're coming from? What's going on in that mind of yours? Be curious, pause, as in don't rush into answers, and show presence, as in I'm hearing. I want to
Yeah.
be here for you. By asking this powerful question, when you build curiosity and the stop, as in stop myself, because I want to be curious and think. Okay, let me think how I can express curiosity. Ask, right? That's in itself an expression of it. And I'm curious about what's going on,
Right.
and results as well. I'm interested in your results. Where did this lead to?
Right.
So curiosity is a huge factor in all these four phases of STAR. Because one manager, once told me my team started trusting me more and more when I stopped rushing them.
Right.
You took the time to listen and to get a level deeper. As a
Right.
let's figure out what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, people feel heard, and we all want to be feel heard, basically.
Yeah, I think this is such an impactful thing. Again, not
Mm,
just business, but just to how often have we, been had a conversation where somebody comes at you and you want to immediately become defensive, right? Like, oh, hey, well, here's my quick answer. But if what I always say, like, take 10, take a deep breath, take a second, think, stop for a second, stop, and
yeah,
have a think about it. And then again, instead of
yeah,
just reacting to something, didn't kind of get into asking a question and being curious. I think that's really phenomenal way to kind of
yep.
talk about this. Barbara, did you
Yeah.
want to add any? I know we have a ton of live questions. We may need to
I
pick this up a little bit. I know we're kind of getting into this, but
I do. Just a quick ditch the script. Like, I know that a lot of leadership classes and everything tell you this is what you need to say, this is how you need to say it to your person. Ditch the script. Just be real, be authentic.
Yeah.
That's going to be, I often train leaders to ask, what's something I don't know about your experience here? Right. And that question alone has opened so many doors for leaders that they didn't even know existed.
what a great question. I
Good
love
one.
that. Again, and we're getting
Yeah.
more ideas for t-shirts, Barbara. I mean, ditch the script, be
I
authentic.
know. I'm telling you. Ask real
Like a little side
questions.
hustle
Like,
maybe.
come on, be
I
real,
love
be
it.
authentic.
I love it. All right, we have so many. All right, we're gonna kind of speed it up, guys, because we have a lot of questions, and we're gonna try to get to as many as we can, folks. So thanks for everybody sending them in. Gunther asks, "What strategies accelerate talent development?" You guys are asking some really good questions here. Who wants to tackle
Stop fixing.
it?
Sorry, that's the first thing that came to my mind. I apologize. I'm sorry. Stop fixing, start reflecting, using coaching to create reflection routines, right?
Right.
That's what I need you to do. Start using coaching to create reflection routines. At one school district, we added a 10-minute weekly star circles, something out of the box, right? And in one quarter, 2 teachers applied for leadership roles for the first time ever. They never even thought about being a leader, but they were so empowered because of the 10-minute weekly, star circles, again, out of the box, right? You
Right.
can take it and run with this.
So interesting. So powerful. Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. Mark, did you want to add anything to this
Let's
quickly? And then we got to kind of move it
let's
along.
keep going.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's keep going. Yep.
Okay, we'll keep going. All right, next question is, okay, this is from Elizabeth, who asks, how does coaching impact employee retention? This is such a good one. This is, again, it gets down to the nitty-gritty bottom line revenue, right?
Yeah.
Who
So,
wants to tackle it?
I'll take it. I mean, Gallup, does all these studies, and that retention number is through the roof. It's shameful, actually. Over 70%. It's not good, actually, at all. It's sad. Now, the good news, and yes, it sounds salesy. The folks at Notion who own this model, they did a 2-year study. They didn't do it, actually. It was done by a third party. A 2-year study. Think about it. Over 60 organizations participated in it, and there was a control group of organizations that didn't even know they were part of the control group.
Yeah.
And the percentages that came back as far as how Star also impacted retention, 35% and up. I mean, amazing. I mean, imagine that. And in general, you're looking at about 6 months, right? It's not something, things change overnight, but not to the extent that you can say, hey, 35%, in a better retention numbers in one day. Of course not, right? It takes time.
Right.
But yes, that's what Star does for you. It's proven. It's not a made up number. So with these retention numbers these days, it's highly, highly recommended to at least consider it.
Right. Does this kind of tie back to the comment that we had about, people are skeptical? We get it. We get people being skeptical. What this and what this course's certification has that a lot of them don't have is proven results, from focus groups for over courses of years. And this has been, working like like a gem in Europe for, we said 2 decades, right? So I mean, just proven, because that's what everybody needs to see.
Exactly.
Barbara, did you want to add anything to this, or should we just keep going because we got a lot of questions?
Just give me one quick second. So I would tell people to stop micromanaging, right? Because all the managers that we've dealt with, they stopped micromanaging and they started mentoring. Those are so important. People don't leave jobs.
Right.
They leave the leaders who don't see them.
Right.
That's who they leave. And coaching flips that.
We could have a whole session just on stop micromanaging. It just doesn't work.
Especially, I'm telling you.
It just doesn't. Who wants to be micromanaged?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to feel
we need to have another T-shirt that says "People don't leave jobs; they leave leaders."
Crazy stuff. All right, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna try to get to all these questions. Sorry, we're gonna have to roll through these a little faster, folks. We're gonna get to them. Okay, next one from Billy. Would you like to learn how Star Manager certification can make you a cultural catalyst?
Yeah, just check out the website. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, go check out the website. Okay, so next one is from Amanzor. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. How can recognition programs remain credible and meaningful when business decisions like cost-related layoffs affect those who've been recently celebrated? This is a good one. Really good one. Let's take
possibly layoffs affect those. There's a lot to unpack here. So
how can recognition programs remain credible and meaningful when business decisions like cost-related layoffs affect those who've been recently celebrated? Oh, that's a tricky, good curveball right there for you guys.
Yeah, so you get the recognition and then let you go. Boy, I hope you weren't part of that, Amanzor. Sorry to hear that, if that's the case. Yeah, authenticity is again what Barbara mentioned earlier. What comes into play here, it's so not right if one day you give somebody recognition and then the next day you let the person go. And what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, somebody was let go. Barbara, that you told me had no idea why, for no reason whatsoever. That's horrific. I think when you adopt that habit of being authentic and show interest and be the leader that is curious, then I wouldn't say you see it coming. That's never a good thing. But I would almost say now we're talking about something being contagious in your organization that you do not want. There's actually a cultural issue in this organization. Maybe it's a good thing that you are not there anymore. I would almost say.
Right.
It's bad. So,
is this a good example of people that just don't necessarily buy into the program, right? It's just kind of like flapping gums and doesn't really reflect well on that particular program, rather than the actual culture. So I mean, imagine getting just sideswiped and just not having and you've just gotten lots of props, and the next minute you're getting it's
toxic.
It's so debilitating. It's so stressful, right? Oh my gosh. And so many people are dealing with this stuff. This is like an everyday.
Yes, this is an everyday thing. Literally.
It's an everyday recognition, basically. That's what you look
Everyday
for.
recognition. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
not a t-shirt.
Lots of t-shirt stuff here. We could
You got one, Mark. You got one t-shirt.
Okay.
All right. Well, I went ahead and moved it along to the next question. We're gonna try to get through as many of these as we can. So here's this from Jackie. Question is, my team and I are working on building a coaching culture while navigating our fourth major change this year. How can we best support each other through it? That's a good question from Jackie. Fourth major changes, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna
Ties into some change management, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. We
away,
ask
Barbara.
more questions than we assume. That's going to be one of the biggest things. Don't assume what other people could be going through. Ask the questions, and don't be afraid of asking the questions. Because again, great coaching environments, like I said, have high trust, psychological safety, curiosity, and accountability without shame. So bringing all of those in, I think would definitely be able to support. You'll be able to support each other through that.
Right. I keep talking about it. You guys are probably sick of me talking about it, but change is now. I mean, look at what everybody's dealing with, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, we've been talking about, like, you know, the fourth major change this year. That's probably just in the workplace. It doesn't equate to everything else that's happening and going on. I mean, we're all, love it or hate it, we're all dealing with change. It is what it is. Mark, did you want to, you know, add into this a little bit?
Yeah, that goes back to, stop, think as in, is this the right time for follow-up questions? It is, when with so many changes. And the other part of this is that won't stop. We're halfway through the year. There will be 4 more coming. Sorry, I hate to tell you.
Yeah.
In other words, people feel overwhelmed and, don't know what's coming next. And by addressing that through these open questions and expressing that curiosity, you can bring it to the surface so it can be talked about. It shouldn't be tucked away and as if it doesn't exist. That uncertainty you want to squash almost and make sure that these things are addressed with open questions, as in, what do you think about this this new change, or where do you see yourself coming coming out of this, or in other words, be curious, ask these questions, talk about it, and be open, honest about it instead of making these surprises. And this come again in the normal conversations, routine conversations, not as in, oh, we're going to have a 1-hour meeting this week to talk about that. That doesn't work.
Right.
Nobody dares to ask a question because everybody is scared.
Right. I can just, this is a quick little tidbit for me. I could just say, just with everything that's been going on, in our world that impacts our every single day. Obviously with APMG International, we're, have our finger on the pulse of these, models and certifications, change management star. And I felt like lately, APMG, my colleagues, my workplace is my happy place. I feel like I can come here and be heard and speak my voice and have conversations. And this has been my happy place, in a world that's absolute, complete and total chaos, because we subscribe to, the elements of STAR and change management, that I can literally come. This is my happy place. Happy place. It's amazing. Yeah. So, that's how you know it works when this is my comfort zone. So, all right. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. Just how it actually does, it works. It's game changing. All right. Next question. We're going to get into some of these and try to get to as many as we can in the next 10 or so minutes. So the next one is mentoring is part of coaching. I think it's obviously, is mentoring part of coaching, or the reverse, or are they totally different? Sorry, kind of a little messed up there, but I think we get the question from Sine. Who wants to tackle this one? So is mentoring part of coaching, or is it the reverse?
I would be careful by mixing the two. Yes, there are similarities, overlap. Sure, we can go down the scientific route. Consider mentoring more of I'll lead you to something. I have the answers for you. It's more of hey, we agree on this path forward, and we're going to make sure that you end up here. Coaching is as in that you don't answer the questions; the person asking the questions is going to answer the questions. you're going to answer them yourself, or with the help of your coach, of course, who's asking these powerful questions that make you think. And as I said earlier, that activate that other part in your brain, a higher part of your brain, a creative part of your brain that is activated by these powerful questions, that lead to, you come up with the answers. You are much more motivated because you came up with the answers. Those were your answers. You came up with them together. Doesn't matter. It's the power of these powerful questions lies in that element of that additional horsepower that you kick in your brain, right? Yeah, exactly. To come up with these answers. Yeah. So you're not being told, right? You came up with it yourself. So I would try to keep these things separate and keep it clean, so to speak, and not find the overlap and go down this scientific route. Coaching is coaching, and mentoring is mentoring.
Such a good question, because I wouldn't have thought to ask that. I wouldn't have thought about that. Like there is, kind of, are they the same thing? How do they work together? So that's a really good question. I wouldn't have
separate.
That's a good one. Barbara, did you want a quick tie? Should we just keep going?
Just keep going. Yeah, because I know we have a whole bunch of more questions.
Okay, yeah, lots of questions coming in. Okay, next question. In the face of a turnover rate exceeding 7%, how can we leverage coaching to better engage and retain our people? We kind of, I know, touched on this a bit about turnover rates and retention.
Yeah.
But, it's
over 70%, actually.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that percentage is a lot higher.
Yeah, it's a typo.
A lot higher than that. But you guys want to touch on this?
Yes. Mark, can I go first real quick?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I remember, another question was, how can leaders develop more meaningful interactions? And Mart had stated something, I believe it was, Mart, please, it was curiosity. Mm-hmm. And then it's like pause, but presence. Presence was the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had stated, like, ditch the script, right? Ask real questions. What's something that you don't know about their experience, right? Don't rush them, but at the same time, just like start, this is a time that you can ask those powerful questions and really see your people, be present and see your people. And when they are seen, they have that psychological safety, they have that trust, and they have that loyalty that actually starts bringing that loyalty into it. And that then brings better engagement, and it helps you retain your people.
Right.
Just quickly, when you start seeing people, when people feel heard, they feel seen, it creates that sense of belonging, which is huge for us people. We want to belong to something. It makes us feel safe. When we feel heard, when we feel seen, again, we feel like we belong to this organization. We were part of the solution, and we did it together. We did it as a team. That sense of belonging is so powerful. And I'm going down this psychological route now, but that's the result of when people feel heard and when they feel seen, and that's what you want to go for. Amanzor has some great questions here. Yeah. I think you read the book. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah. It was really powerful. And I think we did touch on this in the last event. We kind of think we pictured like the whole boardroom. You're in a big meeting with a bunch of people. And I think, if you can feel like you're seen and heard, and you feel safe to actually collaborate with folks and feel like you can engage and you can have these conversations, and you feel like you're a part of something and you're not just being dictated to, then that's huge with retention. Like, people want that in their work environment. So if you can change it, even if it's just a little bit at a time, right? Obviously we said this doesn't happen overnight, but if you can really work on this and make this, really part of the everyday, how it can just impact your overall retention.
Yep.
Right. So good stuff. Thanks for asking all these great questions. All right. We still have a bunch of questions, so we only have time for probably one or two, I'm being told. So let's plug through these last few guys. All right. Last question, actually, maybe one or two more, is from Madhavi. What are the steps one can take to step up into management or leadership from a task delivery perspective individual? Ooh, how can people step up? It's a good question. How can people step up?
I'm gonna let Mark take that one.
Yeah. So what we often tend to forget is while we may not have the title, right, of being the manager, leader, director, VP, whatever, a lot of people are leaders and have leadership qualities. And by adopting this change of habits, right, stop, think, ask, and results, um, you start to think like a leader. You start to act like a leader by asking powerful questions, by showing curiosity, by stepping up that way, showing the sincere interest. I want to, in other words, it's a simple change. Well, I shouldn't say simple. It's a small change that if that becomes your habit, you will be perceived easier as a leader. Um, it, while you already have leadership qualities, right? Let's never forget that there's plenty of people in organizations, that are leaders in the past or the way they come across. They just simply don't have the title. So that shift from that delivery perspective, to task, to taking a step back, looking at the bigger picture, going a level deeper. That's what this comes down to.
Right, you just gotta kind of pull it out of them, right? Because we all have these different
Yeah,
kind of
we do.
skills and things that, probably lying underneath, just lying right beneath the surface. Maybe people are just so tired of getting micromanaged that they can't feel like they
Yeah,
can't say, do
yeah,
anything. But if you feel like you can
Yeah.
be seen and you can kind of share that side to you, then, that's so powerful, so impactful.
yeah.
So step up. That's a great one. All right, so I think we have time for one more question quickly, guys. Sorry, we won't have time to get to everything, but we're doing the best we can on time. Last one's from Richard. His question is, from a coaching perspective, what's the best way to onboard junior team members who are just starting their careers? Good one from Richard. Let's take this one.
Are we going to take it?
Take the STAR certification. No,
It's a little
seriously.
We will be
no,
talking about how people can get a free consultation, from Martin
well,
Rovers.
yeah,
Yes,
that
absolutely.
I'll let Mark take that. I'll let Mark take that one. But the thing is, it's something how you lead, you listen, you ask. You don't need to
Mhm.
overhaul your org chart, right? And it's not. It's when you're talking about the best way to onboard junior team members, this is so great for all ages. And what
Right.
I mean by all ages, all mind frames. When people are junior team members, it can be all different ages, it can be all different experiences. And these are individuals who are just starting their careers. So this is a way where you are asking them questions and automatically empowering them from the
Right.
beginning.
Right.
Yeah. Anybody wants to feel heard, especially when you're new, you're eager, you want to show off, kind of, right? So be curious and get it out of these the newbie, so to speak, right? As in, what are your goals? What are you aiming for? Where do you see yourself in a year from now? Ask these questions, bring it up to the surface, because people. I remember when I started my career and I had all these ideas, and I had no idea where to put them. Uh, I knew nobody was going to listen, or I had that feeling, right? So that needs to change. In other words, open up. I mean, make people open up. Oh, there's
Right.
the QR code. Yeah, let's go.
Isn't that kind of like isn't that kind of like that's the powerful stuff is you can get them, if you can groom them to be long-term,
Yeah.
very powerful employees. Why not start with them as soon as they step in the
Mhm.
door, right? Don't,
Yeah.
it's
Teach them the
amazing.
powerful questions.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yes.
okay, guys. So, audience, don't forget, just go ahead and scan that QR code, and you can schedule a free STAR coaching consultation with Barbara or Mark. So we all like free stuff, especially now this day and age. So don't forget, go ahead and scan that QR code. And they'll have a consultation with you and can talk to you, about the certification and, in general. So, with that said, I think we're running out of time, folks. I think we're going to wrap it up, kind of get final thoughts, talk to you folks about what we've got coming up next. So let's see here. So, I just want to first, I guess, kind of just get what your thoughts are. I know we've got a lot of t-shirt quotes, Barbara and I, did you want to just give your 2 cents on what did you think about the questions, about, the comments and stuff today? Just give your short view on what you thought about the show today.
I thought the show was absolutely wonderful. I really do appreciate all of the questions that were asked, the curiosity. I mean, you guys are off to a great start of asking powerful questions already. And honestly, Mart and I would love to take that to a whole nother level. So definitely, if you are interested in talking more, please set up a free consultation.
Yeah, love it. And thank you guys for joining us today and letting us throw all these live questions at you. We appreciate that. Mart, what are your thoughts? You want to give kind of your
Great show.
Final advice?
Yeah. Thank you, APMG. Thank you, the whole support team behind the scene that we never see and hear about, who make this happen and make it so easy for us to participate, for our audience to be part of this in an interactive fashion. So I can never thank APMG enough, including you, Lory. Brian Herbert, final quote. Brian Herbert once said, the capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice.
I love that.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
That's a good one.
Can you say it one more time really quick? Repeat that. Repeat it.
The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. And the willingness to learn is a choice.
I love that. I love that. That's wonderful. Good stuff.
That's a big t-shirt.
That's a really big t-shirt.
Wow.
That's a billboard. All right, folks. So we've got to wrap it up. I just want to take a minute. Thank you so much for our producers. Again, another shout out to Shanice and Ellen and everybody in the socials and things. So thank you so much. Thank you again for, Barbara and Mart, for taking the time to let us just, pick your brain here and answer some of these great questions. Really appreciate it. And then don't forget, everybody, over on our APMG International website, you can search for answers to over 3,000 questions. It's a comprehensive free resource connecting you with over 200 experts from around the globe. And also, don't forget, you can listen in to the audio versions on whatever podcast platform you like. And of course, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps out other folks to get access to our content. And stay tuned for some more upcoming events. We've got on July 8th, which is a Tuesday. You can join us for the ITSMF XLA 25 conference. And then Wednesday, the 27th of August, we've got our ever popular panel show is coming back, folks. We are bringing back our live panel shows. Due to popular demand, so we're really excited about that. So that'll be bi-weekly on a lively discussion on APMG Connect. So I'm very happy to hear about that. And thanks again to everybody for joining us on this Friday. God bless. Have a really good day. We'll see everybody on the next one. Thanks so much.
Thank you.